Justin Gatlin is the latest in a long line of sprint sensations to emerge from the USA.
Gatlin got a good start. Look at this man coming through now. Gatlin. What a fantastic performance from Gatlin. It's all about Gatlin.
Ultimate goal is to be one of the best sprinters in history.
And what a fantastic performance from Gatlin. And look at the time.
It's the American leading the Jamaican at the moment.
He knows he is the world champion.
Justin Gatlin is the world champion here in London.
Hey, what's up, family? We're back for another episode of Ready, Set, Go. We in the building. We are on location in, you know what? I don't even want to say where we at because it would do no justice if I say where we at because this is your home, Rod. Like, where we at?
Man, we in the 242. 242. That's where we at the Bahamas at World Relays, man, with a special guest, Jereem Richards, man. Welcome to the show.
Yo, it's nice to be here. Big up. Thank you for having me here. Big up everybody from back home, Trinidad and Tobago. Yeah, just excited to be and thankful for the opportunity to talk to you guys.
Of course, man. You know, I've watched you for so long, man. You know what I'm saying? Much respect. You know, I am a Trinidadian now. Adopted Trinidadian, so you know, I'm Trini. I'll let you know I'm Trini though, you know. But
tell them why you Trini. How you got Trini?
My wife.
Oh,
right?
okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Shout out to Mrs. Gatlin.
There we go. Hey, baby. But man, let's get into it, man. Like, you have had, you know, a great career in front of you, right? We watched you go through, you know, start off as getting your feet wet at 17 years old in the sport. When I was like 17, I wasn't even nowhere in a professional sport. I didn't even know what professional sports even looked like. What was that like for you at like 17?
For me, it was a really big opportunity. I remember I opened up my season in the 400 meters in 2012, 47.8. A lot of the college guys weren't available to go to World Indoors, and I got a call and I was like, well, Jereem, World Indoor Championships, 4x4, you want to go? And I mean, I did quickly seized the opportunity to do it. In getting there, it was like, well, my first time being around, you know, these pro athletes, names and people that you only see on TV. And I was scared, but at the same time, I was really excited to actually, as I say, get your feet wet and actually see these athletes, these high caliber athletes right in front of you and have to compete with them. It was scary, but one thing led to another, and we ended up leaving with a bronze medal in the 4x4 relay. And I ended up being the only one going back home to Trinidad and Tobago. All the other guys were pros, and they went back to the US and their respective camps. And I remember on the plane ride coming back from Istanbul, I couldn't sleep. I think maybe it was like a 12, 14-hour flight. Couldn't sleep because I was thinking, okay, I'm going back home. The media are going to ask me questions. What am I going to say? And I was so scared, and I was up this whole flight. I just was thinking about possible questions and how would I answer them and what would I say. And it ended up all going well, and it was definitely an eye-opening moment for me. I got to see you win the 60 meters, and in my mind I was like, wait, Gatlin bad, because I remember you do that when you won. I was like, hey, this man bad, boy.
2012 indoors, man.
Yeah.
I wasn't even supposed to be there. I talked to Dennis, and I was like, I need to work on my start, right? I wasn't the starter that the world knew me to be at that point in time. So I was like, you know, let's work on the start. Let's run some indoor races, you know? He was like, all right, we're going to run indoors. We're going to run indoors. Like, you going all the way to the championship. We're going to try to win. So I was like, all right, we're going to do that then. You know what I mean? So it was an experience for me because before that, the last indoors I had was like 2003.
Yeah.
So it was that far apart. So, I mean, Istanbul was fun, for sure. I enjoyed it, man. I'm glad you had a great experience there. When you got back home to, like, you know what I'm saying, to Trinidad, what was the welcoming like?
It was a grand welcoming. All the media was there, all the representatives, family, friends, just people who saw the meet and saw us got a medal. It was big, and I think the story was me being so young, and Carifta Games was coming up right after. So it was like, okay, world indoor medalist leads Carifta team.
You was supercharged. Like,
yeah.
You were like the dude now.
Yes, and that was the first time I ever felt like that type of pressure of now people expect greatness of you. It was, in a sense, I would say a good and a bad thing, because it was good that you actually now kind of feel the pressure that it comes with being a winner.
Mm-hmm.
But then also in the sense that I feel like I still wasn't prepared for that type of pressure on me, you know, so I had to deal with it the way I dealt with it. And I mean, eventually I learned how to deal with pressure and being expected to do well from other people. And it taught me that, at the end of the day, as an athlete, the most important thing is your support system. I don't want to say this in a bad way, but in a sense, I don't really care what people think if they support me or not. I really look and feed off the energy of my family and my close friends who actually know me outside of athletics. So my wife, my mother, my father, my intimate family, my sister, my siblings, everyone, my intimate family, and the people that I actually communicate with on a daily basis. I learn to draw energy from them because I know at the end of the day, if I do well or if I don't do well, they are the people that are going to support me and going to be there for me in the ups and down in times. There's people who, just like you because you're a winner, but those people wouldn't support you when you're not doing well, So it taught me that lesson. And now I go into races and I go into meets without any pressure because I know at the end of the day, I could do as well as I could do, but my support system loves me regardless of.
In 2012, right? You say you was coming up in 2012. That was your first big race. But you have a well-known line of great Trinidadians coming out of Trinidad and Kellyanne Baptiste, Keston Bledman, Richard Thompson, Samoy Hackett. Who did you look up to coming through the ranks in 2012? Because those runners who I just named, if I missed anybody, excuse me, but those type of runners, they were already established at that point. Who did you look up to, like, as far as Trinidadians?
When I was younger, I definitely always...
hold on. And Otto Bolden. Let me know what that.
Yeah.
Let me know.
Can't forget
Let me know.
Otto.
Can't forget Otto.
Yeah. Growing up, I was always good at track and field. I tried other sport when I was younger, but I wasn't as good, and I was always faster than everyone. I always watched the Olympic Games, and I was always impressed on how Otto was able to medal in not just one event, but the 100, the 200. And he was one of our most consistent athletes ever. So I definitely look up to Otto a lot. As I got older and I was transitioning from being a high school athlete, going into college, Deon Lendore definitely had Trinidad and Tobago in the palm of his hands. He did well. He won the Bowman. He did well in college. And he set like the blueprint for us in terms of, okay, you do Carifta games, you do well in high school, you go to a Division 1, you run fast there. Yeah, and he showed us what to do, how to do it. And rest in peace, Deon. Deon really wanted, at that point, everyone in Trinidad and Tobago wanted to go to Texas A&M because of Deon. He helped out a lot of athletes locally. He was like definitely that man on the ground, even though he was in the US at the point in time. You could have called him for anything. He would play video games with us. He was like really that down-to-earth person. So Deon Lendore for sure is someone also I look up to in Trinidad and Tobago track and field history. He, outside of track and field, was just like a brother,
you and him are really, really, really close.
Yeah,
that I've
close.
heard everybody who I talked to, they was like, man, if you say Deon, you have to say, they say Remy.
Yeah.
They call your name. They when he passed, how did that affect you? Like,
it was a hard thing to deal with. I remember I got a call maybe at around 6 o'clock, 6:30, and it was a mutual friend, Daniel from Canada, and he called me and he was like, Deon just passed away. I was like, what? Because I know I probably played video games with him maybe a month ago. We don't communicate that often, but when we do, it's either any game or you ask me when I run in or something. And I was like, I just couldn't believe it because he was the type of person that he was so nice and friendly. You wouldn't believe that he would die. You wouldn't believe that he would pass away. He was that impactful on so many people's lives.
You think he would grow to be an old man, old wise man?
Yes. He was good with kids. He was good with everyone. He had friends from all different countries. While talking to Daniel, our coach from Trinidad and Tobago called me immediately. So I'm a fast thinker. As soon as I saw the phone ringing again, I know it's bad news. So I was like, hold on, Daniel, let me call you back. Coach called him. Answer the phone. I was like, that's true? He said, yeah. And I just started to cry because it was hard to believe that actually happened to someone I'm so close to. And you never know how it feels to lose someone until you in it. Like you actually know the person that deep. And it was just a hard moment to deal with. It was something hard to accept. To this day, it's still hard for me to realize that he's not there. I went home for his funeral. I saw him. I saw the casket go down, and I went back up to the US, and I still didn't believe it. I still don't believe it because he's had such an impact on so much lives, and he's had an impact on so much people. It just doesn't make sense to me. I thought that going back home and going to the funeral would have given me that closure that, okay, accept it for what it is. But in a sense, I think it's a good thing that he has that effect on us, that it doesn't feel like he's gone, because it goes to show that he lived a good life, that he had such a good impact on so many people that you feel that he's still alive here with us. So yeah, it was hard to deal with, still hard to deal with, but all in all, I think it pushes me to continue reminding people of the type of person he was and fulfilling the stuff that he used to do. So he would always communicate with the youth. He would always try to help out people if they have questions, because everybody would reach out to him, Deon, how to do this, how to do that. I have a race coming up. What I should do? How I should run this race? And these are things that you have been able to reach out to him and talk to him about. So I try my best now to fill in that gap for what he would have done for the younger generation. But yeah,
you had an opportunity to compete with him at a high level, right?
Yeah.
2017.
He didn't make the team in 17, but we won World Relays in 2019 in the 4x4. Deon was part of that team. We ran together in the Olympic Games. We ran together in 2018. So we had a good run, even as juniors. I could go way back to Carifta Games. My first Carifta Games, first Carifta medal, Deon was on a 4x4 under 20 in Jamaica in 2011. So he's always been around. I've always been a part of some teams with him, and had some good times with him also on some 4x4 relays.
So imagine him being the kind of person he is and having that good heart. Was he one of the first people he congratulated you in 2017 after getting your bronze, but also in your gold medal
for sure. Deon wasn't even on the 2017 team, and Deon had a whole live watch party, singing music, making people laugh. I think he was doing freestyles, even rapping. If you know Deon was a clown. He would make anybody laugh. He would make anybody feel comfortable and warm. And I think, as I say, that's the type of things that we would miss, and what also makes him live on, because someone like that in your mind lives forever. You can't not forget someone like that.
Yeah.
Man, you said that you tried to make his presence feel known, but I could say the year after Deon passed, you didn't try. People found out who you really were because you went on a tear. Medal after medal after medal. I think the only person that stood in your way possibly was, Noah in the 200 and such, but you racked out, I think, most of your accolades the year after, the year that you dedicated that year to him.
Yeah.
Talk about how you strategized and went through that year saying, we will not let Deon be forgotten, and I'm going to make his presence feel felt through me.
I remember after hearing the news, going to practice, everyone that I saw in practice that day was like, my condolences. And I cry every time I see somebody, because I'm an emotional person. And I feel like when someone now expresses their sympathy for you, it brings out my emotion even more.
Right.
And it took me about a week to be able to practice without thinking of crying. And, I prayed about it. I spoke to my mom about it, and she was like, you know what, you have to try to be okay with it. This is life. Sometimes things like this happen, and you had to know how to deal with it. And I talked to my sports psychologist a lot. Every Wednesday, I talk with my sports psychologist, and we talk about using situations in life to change it to something positive. And my way of using that situation and making it into something positive was dedicating that year to Deon, working hard and trying to be successful. So now we could put him in the limelight and let people actually understand the type of person and the great athlete that he was. Because in this life, a lot of people only appreciate you when you're not there anymore. They only realize, wow, this was a good person, but after the fact. So I started training even harder with renewed motivation. I remember opening up in the New Balance Grand Prix indoor, and I've never ran 45 seconds indoor, and I opened up 45.8. I was like, oh. I was like, all right, cool. 45.8. I told coach about it. I was like, it actually didn't feel that hard.
Oh, tell people who your coach is, by the way.
Oh, my coach is Lance Brumman, by the way.
There we go.
I train in Florida. Yeah. So I remember telling myself, like, okay, 45.8. I looked at the schedule. I think I had maybe 5 weeks or maybe 4 weeks before World Indoors. And coach asked me, he was like, you want to go to World Indoors? I was like, yeah. He was like, you want to run one more? I was like, nah, I think I'm good. I'll just train. Went to World Indoors and I felt a different type of pressure. Once again, the pressure of being expected to win is a different type of pressure as an athlete. When nobody knows you, nobody cares, it's all fine and well. But when you're the one that they expect to win, that's a different type of pressure.
I try to tell you about it all the time. It's like, when people don't expect you to win, it's a little easier to win.
Definitely
because
is.
no one has eyes on you. But the moment you win and the world expects you to keep winning, that's a different pressure.
Yeah.
So a lot of these athletes who are trying to win and they think they have pressure now, wait till you get to the point of winning.
Yep.
You know, they don't realize that.
So around that time too, my grandmom passed. So I was like, one thing after the next. Then my grandfather's brother passed also right after her. And he was the last of my grandfather's brothers. So he was the last one. I was like, well, okay, this is 3 people I had pass in the beginning of the year. I was like, well, okay, well, I'm not doing this for everybody. All right. After running the heats, I did really well. I jogged 46.5, probably easy. Came back in the afternoon, jogged 46.1 easily. And after like watching over the races and seeing where I could improve, I was listening to the commentary, and the storyline that World Athletics was building was, it would be nice if Jereem wins, because obviously he's doing it for Deon. He has motivation because of Deon. And you know, as athletes, sometimes with that pressure, we get negative thoughts in our head. And the first negative thought was, what if you don't win? And immediately I combat that and I say, devil, you a liar. Right? And I remember going into the finals. I knew Trevor Bassett was in really good shape. I know Bengstrom was in really good shape also. Got lane 6, and running from lane 6, you get the break. You had to get the break. And I just tell myself, I mean, this is 2 400 hurdlers. I'm a 200 meter, 400 meter athlete. I'm faster than them. I know they're not fast as me, especially indoor. So I was like, let me just get the break and let me go. Got the break, coming around the turn, hit the back stretch, I was in front, coming around the last turn. I was like, okay, I'll have this. Then I started to feel Trevor coming. So I was like, well, okay, strategic, started push him on the outside. Started to veer on the outside, so he had to go on the outside too. And eventually I won. I didn't even care about the time, but when I look at it, coach was trying to tell me, look at the clock. And I wasn't even looking. I was like, oh, I win. And then I saw 45 flat. I was like, shit. It was a bittersweet moment for me because Deon had the national record. And I think that might have been the last record that he was on. I was glad that I had the national record. He had run 45.03 and I had run 45 flat. But at the same time, I was like, I erased his name from history. You know, so I was happy, but at the same time, I was sad because it's like, you know, his name not there no more.
Yeah, but I think that you realize what Deon has done for you. He opened up a whole different dream, right? He inspired you, and his passing actually gave you a gift.
Yeah.
Like, he took you to a whole different level of competition. 2022, I loved watching you compete in 2022 because you didn't just compete as an athlete. You compete with the intent of like doing it with respect, with the intent, you know what I'm saying, to give your all, you know? And, you know, as athletes, sometimes we go out there and be like, hey, I win some, I lose some, I'm on to the next race, right? But I felt like watching you run that season, like every race for you was, I'm doing this for him, you know what I mean? And I think that, and records are meant to be broken. And I believe that if Deon was able to speak on it, he said, look, if anybody's going to break my record, it's going to be you.
Yeah.
And you're going to do it because you did it for me, you know? So I think that's makes it really special.
Yeah, true.
I think he definitely would have wanted that way, especially when you talk about the relationship of Deon giving so much of himself away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He would have definitely wanted that. He would have, if he was there, he would have wanted to see it and he'd be like, that's how you do it. That's how you win in that type of grand fashion. So shout out to Deon, man. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Moving on, World Championships was that year too. How was that World Championship for you?
It was one of the best. That also was a bittersweet moment for me, low-key too. national championships around 1983. Pouring rain. When I mean pouring rain, as hard as you know the rain could pour, it was pouring. And I was able to run 1983. But then, people always say Trinidad track is 90 meters long. Trinidad's track is not 90 meters long. It is exactly as long as everybody else's track. It is certified. So you could run fast in Trinidad, you could run fast anywhere else. I've done it. But first rounds in World Championships, 20.3, easy, walk in the park. For some reason, I always get the hardest semifinals. If you look back in the years, I always get the most stacked semifinals. Always. I had Noah and Kenny. I think after winning my heat, I got lane 3 in the semis, in the hardest semis. And I was like, well, okay, you're in shape. You could do this. I was very confident. I believed in myself. Coming off the turn, Noah was already gone, but Kenny was right. It is the first time I've ever come off the turn so close to Kenny. And I was like, well, don't really press yet because right now we all running fast, but we're running relaxed. And you all run track, you all know when you running and you're relaxed and somebody else, your legs match, you can't press there. Because at this point, you both going relaxed. So you have to if you have to press a little bit, it has to be in a relaxed way. So I saw him pressing slightly and I was like, I'll press on and then I'll catch him. Didn't catch him. I think I ran 1986 and he ran maybe 83. And I was one of the slowest qualifiers, but I had the 4th fastest time going into the final. I got lane 3 again. Not much you could do out of that in a 200. The 200 it's a really nice race. It's a great race, but you get lane 1, 2, 3, you're kind of out of it. So going in with the 4th fastest time, I finished 6th. And the time that I ran in the semifinals would have probably gotten 4th in the actual final. So it was just a hard pill to swallow. I didn't like the lane that I got, but I understood because I was one of the slowest qualifiers. But I used that as motivation going into Commonwealth Games because I was like, I wanted to get a medal, didn't get a medal here. So I have to now take out that and everybody else at Commonwealth.
Murder, blood in his eyes.
So I went to Commonwealth Games and got a games record, got a personal best, and was this close to the national record. Around 1980, 1997 is the national record. The games record was, I think, maybe 1994 by the great Frankie Fredericks. So all in all, it still ended well. But the world cares about world medalists and Olympic medalists, obviously. So
100%.
Yeah, I just want to be able to be back on that pinnacle where you could get those high quality prestige medals.
That's good.
What was it like for you growing up in Trinidad? Because I've traveled there often, and I know it's very humble for beginnings for a lot of athletes who come from there, especially in the Tobago area as well.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like you growing up? Because I just came back from there recently.
Okay.
And they were speaking about you. That's like, man, he a bad man. He be out there. Look, he'll be running on that road right there, barefoot, running right now.
I grew up around family, very family oriented. Most Caribbean countries, your family migrate around the same place, same community for the most part. When my mom and my dad was together, I grew up around my dad's family. Everybody was living close together. When my mom and my dad broke up, I was living around my mom's family. All her family lived in the same area. I'm the youngest of 2 siblings, well, 3 total. I'm the youngest of 3. And I would do I'll play a lot. I'll go in the road, play with your friends, come back home maybe 6 p.m. Same old community raise a child in the Caribbean, so if you're rude to your elders or you do something and your mom may know about it, but when she find out, just know the neighbor gonna tell her, the neighbor and all might give you some licks.
It takes a village, right?
Yeah, it really takes a village. If you talk to the people in my community, they would say they're fed up seeing me running on the hill, training on the hill, taking a long run somewhere. I've always been that person, either playing football with my friends, doing something physically, some type of physical activity, or training in the community. Every time I go back home, people always say, I remember when you used to be running here. I remember when you used to be doing this or, doing that. Track and field has always been something that was, I always wanted to be good at track and field and a well-renowned athlete and a well-known athlete locally.
So you would train on your own?
Yeah, I would.
So you just go out, just go for a run?
Yeah, I would
Wow.
I would run around the community, run to different communities and run back home and stuff like that, just because I was just thinking about different ways how I could get better. But as I say, when I was younger, I wasn't really good at any other sport. It was just running. As I got older, I could have played football a little bit. And I played that for a while, but I quickly realized that track and field is the way, because this was really where all my talent lied.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was it for me.
What coach in your development stages, we know that Caribbean, such as the Bahamas and Trinidad, we go to the development system of the Carifta Games. They don't have that in the U.S. But it's a very pivotal system for us because that's how we get recruited to schools in the United States.
Yeah.
What coach would you say saw the talent and be like, okay, this kid could go 4, or we need to hone in on his talent in the 400? What coach from Trinidad would you say sparked that for you, if any?
I had a few coaches locally. When I was young, because I started track maybe 7, 8 years old. My first coach was Mr. Renald Portley, which was from my hometown. I ended up having to leave that club because at that point in time, we didn't have much facilities. So I had to go more to the city of San Fernando because there's a stadium there. So I could be able to have full access to training. So I was with a club in my hometown up till like about under 17. I went to another club, which was in the city, San Fernando, under Coach Trevor James. And he saw a lot in me, actually. I remember my first few months there, I came to him probably running 52. And that same year, I made my first national team. I dropped down to 49.8. I was running maybe 24 in the 200, dropped down to 22.30 in a few months. And I saw great improvement with him. The following year, I went from running 49 to running 47.3. Wow. So with him, he had really good knowledge. He actually had his son, Jamil James. He was world junior medalist in the 200 maybe some years ago. I'm not sure what year, but Mr. James saw a lot of potential in me. I ended up leaving that club also after, and I went to Abilene Wildcats, which is in the east, which is in Arima in Trinidad and Tobago, under Coach Charlie Joseph. And this was Deon's club. So this is how I actually met Deon. And I mean, after seeing how hard Deon trains, after seeing Deon do well in Carifta games and CAC games and stuff like that, even Mr. Charlie was like, well, okay, you're a good quarter miler. He was like, they all knew I had speed, but for some reason, everyone always saw me running the quarter. And I didn't want to see it because it hurts. Everybody know the 400 is hurt, but that was more or less my development in Trinidad and Tobago. As I would say, 3 coaches, Mr. Portley, Mr. James, and Mr. Joseph.
Okay. So when you was coming on, like you wasn't in the American system yet, because now 2012, you say you're 17.
Yeah.
You've got that indoor medal. You go home, get all the publicity, but now it's time to leave home. How do you get to, I think when you came to United States, you went to JUCO, South Plains.
Yeah, South Plains.
Yeah. How did you get there? Who recruited you? And what was that like?
At first, I wanted to go to Division 1. I did not have the grades to do so. I didn't do well in the SATs, and I think I was missing math. I spoke to Coach Blaine Wiley, and at this point, I ran 46.20, 20.7, and they said it would have been a good fit for me there. I was supposed to actually start in fall of 2013. I just wasn't ready to leave home yet. I wasn't really ready to leave home yet, and I asked him, would it be okay for me to start in January? And he was like, well, okay, come through in January instead. I went to South Plains in January, and I did well my first year also. Ran probably 46.1 my first year and 20.5. And my second year, I was junior college champion indoor and outdoor, and I ran 45.9 and didn't really get better in the 200 at that point because I was still hurt fast forward a little bit, Coach Wiley got a job at Alabama. And while picking schools, I was like, I mean, it worked out with Coach Wiley so far. Let me just go to Alabama too. Went to the 2016 Olympics. And from there, I went back to Alabama. I think we was on the same flight also to car. I think I remember meeting you and Brummel in the airport, heading to Rio. And after seeing Wade break the world record, after seeing Marshall Sideno of Trinidad and Tobago break the national record that has stand for a while in the 400 meters, after watching all these great athletes do these special things in the Olympic Games, it opened my eyes and it made me wonder, like, I just kind of told myself that I want to be up here too. I want to be able to do that. And I went back to college in Alabama and I worked really hard. Fast forward now to 2017, I opened up 2057, which was faster than my outdoor PR. So I knew it was going to be a special year. And fast forward a little bit more, I was a world champion in the 4x4 and a world bronze medalist in the 200. So these experiences that I've had, I've learned in life, use the experiences to your advantage. It mightn't be the best experience, but there's always something that you could learn from it. And what I've learned over the years is everything that happens in life, you should be able to learn and turn it to something positive. There's this saying where they say, is it every, what do they say? They say, not every L is a loss, every L could be a lesson.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
I said it on the podcast before too. I said it on the podcast.
It's facts, because you can't look at everything as something negative. Sometimes when something negative happens, you know, well, okay, just don't go down that road again. But there's going to be something you learn from it. And I've learned in life to learn from your mistakes and to learn from each and every experience. And it's helped me out a lot.
So for you, as you blossom as an athlete, once you came to the States, culture-wise, what was different? Because I know in Trinidad, your menus, your palate is very particular. You know what I mean? Like, and I know you probably grew up having all the national dishes and eating, you know what I'm saying, certain ways in Trinidad culture. So once you moved to the middle of almost nowhere in America, you didn't get none of those, you didn't get none of that stuff you would get back at home. So what was it like for you?
First thing I would say is, that sweet potato, that orange sweet potato, that is not sweet potato. I never knew that you could fry okra. I didn't know that was a thing. It was hard. It was hard to adjust to a lot of fast foods in the Caribbean, and especially me growing up. My parents weren't rich or anything. Fast food was something you would have maybe had once a week or maybe like twice a month. America is very accessible. I like McDonald's open 24/7. Like, we don't have those things. We don't have it that open that late even. A lot of the foods were different. One thing I really don't like is the culture of, and not really so much in the South, but in Florida, I see this a lot. People don't really say good morning like that. And
or good night.
Yeah, or good night.
Yeah.
When I first went to college, I told someone good night, and they look at me like I'm crazy, and I was like, but I'm not going to bed. And I was like, it's like just how I greet you good morning, I greet you good night, or I greet you good afternoon. So it's not me trying to signal that it's time for bed, but it's me trying to say, like, I'm greeting you at the nighttime. There was a lot of cultural differences, and it took me a while, but I feel like the one thing that I really don't like is I like to say good morning to people. And in Florida, I now have to suppress that urge to say good morning and greet someone and just walk past them straight, because in the past I've said good morning to random people, like walking into the gym or something like that, and they would just walk past straight. And I like, y'all ain't have no manners.
Yeah.
I realized that happened to me too once I moved to the States. Like, people, or if you say yes, ma'am, or no, sir, or whatever, as a sign of respect, they'll be like, I'm not old, don't call me sir.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a heavy adjustment, but people who recognize it, like older people, they realize like it kind of sets you apart, your manners.
Yeah.
Saying good morning, good afternoon, being very respectful, it sets you apart. And an American system, it kind of gave me advantage, like open doors, like, in some ways, for me being a little bit different from the other kids, because I came here when I was like 17 too.
Okay.
So it was like a little different. I did 1 year of high school here and then moved on. So I could understand to that plight. Like you'll say good morning and you'd be like, boy, these people rude, boy.
Yeah. I just feel like sometimes I can't fully be myself and be open and say, well, hi, good morning. And just be, it's not even like, I feel like in America, sometimes it's that people just mind their own business. And, you know, they really, not that they don't care, but they just kind of in their own life and in their own business to the point that they don't even care to say good morning. And for me, it's just like, I mean, it's common manners. Just, I see a good morning and that's it. We don't need to have a conversation or anything, but it's just, I see you, you see me, and then I acknowledge good morning to you, and that's it.
Well, if you think Florida's rude, man, you definitely don't want to go to New York.
I just gonna say that. Every time I go to New York,
and they look you right in your eye, walk right past you, don't say nothing to you.
You might say good morning. They might cuss you out. What you saying good morning to me for, man? What you talking?
Who said it was good?
You're like, y'all chill, man. But yeah, now you're at the end of your college career. Now you're in the 3 stripes. What was that like when you were approached with a contract?
Oh, that was a big deal for me, though. It was a big deal. Because I knew my family needed something like this. We didn't have the best living situations back home. My mom, we were living like in a small wooden house. I remember one time specifically, there was like a tropical storm that passed over Trinidad. It was really windy, really rainy.
Which is rare.
Yeah, which is rare because, God is a Trini. Yeah. You know that. Yeah. And I was, God is a Trini. Yeah, that's a saying we have back home. And I remember I was in my nice apartment in the US and I called my mom and she was like, well, she don't know if the roof is going to blow off and stuff like that, you know. So it was motivation even for me to work hard to get my family out of that situation because it wasn't nice knowing that I'm home comfortable in an apartment and the living situations for my mom and my sister and my brother wasn't the best at the point in time, you know. So it was a blessing from God because I prayed about it a lot too, and to be approached and get a contract and is something I always wanted to do, become a professional athlete. And I was just like, finally, it feels really good to know that you pray about something for so long and then it actually happens. You're like, wow, it's like a...
One part you missing, you prayed and you worked at it.
Yeah.
So you don't want to give the people the conception that, I prayed and it happened. No, you prayed and you worked at it.
Yeah, no prayers without work. No prayers without work.
Yeah.
Right. And it worked. And now you're a very established athlete, man. You're at the point where you kind of grew up in the sport. What's it like now? Because now you have your own family, you have children as a professional athlete. How do you navigate like trying to be selfish to yourself, but still split yourself in 3, really? Because I had to help him with this. Being a father, being a husband, and then being a professional athlete. How do you navigate that or help some of our viewers who are actually doing it navigate at a high level what you're doing?
The easy part for me is being the husband. That's a very easy part. I have a really good relationship with my wife. People ask me all the time, like, what's the difference between like when she was a girlfriend and being married now? It didn't really change. For me, it didn't really change. We have the same dynamic. We do the same things. Like it's very, the only thing now different is we blessed by God. But nothing really changed for me. And I say this in a good way. I would say the hardest part for me was probably being a father. The first 5 weeks was difficult for me. I thank God I had the help of my mother-in-law, and my mom is currently up there helping while I'm not there. But the first 5 weeks was difficult. I remember when Wade had his son first, I used to see him come to practice, and some days he would be tired. And he always used to tell me, you would find out soon. And that first 5 weeks was, I would go to practice, and I'm a quarter miler, so we have some long runs. And them runs, bro.
I remember those days.
Yeah.
You feel like a zombie.
Yeah. And
like you feel like you never was fully rested.
Never. And the thing is, I'm getting sleep. Coach even pulled me aside one time and he was like, come, you sleeping? And I was like, yeah, coach, I getting sleep. I going to sleep on the same time as normally go to sleep, and again, rest. So I was never at a point where I got into deep, deep sleep within that first 5 weeks. Afterwards, when my daughter got into a better routine, And after I got used to hearing her crying and not having to wake up, I could now so smooth sailing now. But that first 5 weeks was difficult.
Yeah.
I would say the next difficult thing is leaving to go and compete and just missing stuff. Last time I went to Bermuda last week and came back and she was babbling more. And she's saying da. And I wanted to be there when it first started. So I think that's the next difficult thing. And I mean, I spoke to my wife before I even came here and she was telling me that she's rolling even more. So just knowing that being a parent, there's going to be stuff that you're going to miss. That is kind of the hard part for me to fully grasp and understand. Because I want to be.
It's not going to get easy, man. It's not going to get easy. That's what it was for me, especially like my later part of my career. Early in my career, I was excited to travel. I was ready. I would pack maybe 4 days in advance. I'll be ready. You know what I'm saying? And now it got to a point where at the latter part of my career where I was dreading. I was packing at the last minute. I didn't want to leave. I was ready to come home, you know, because that's where your energy is. That's where your heart is. You know what I mean? Yeah.
But I think, well, Justin had a good example, and you would always ask me questions. He just like you have a good mate. His wife is amazing, man. She understood what she married, and she would talk to me sometimes and ask like what to do. And I remember Janice used to go make you sleep in the other bedroom across the house when it was time to race.
Oh, even when she would come to championships,
yeah,
she would never stay with me.
Yeah, she knew like, oh, this is how he provides for us.
Yeah,
and he needs to be fully rested. So when you're getting with somebody who understands what you are, and it sounds like your wife understands what you are.
She used to run track.
Yeah, so she knows he needs this. So this is what I need to do for him. And that's very important. Anybody that's searching for a mate, make sure that your mate understand what you are. So it wouldn't be like, oh, you ain't spending time, you going away. You'd be like, but look, this is how we put food on the table.
Yeah.
Like, this is how.
You want food on the table? Yeah. Or you don't want no food on the table? Pick one.
Yeah. So she understands when you go and then you bring the part of bringing the village. Because Janice's mom came and helped her out. His parents come and help him out when they leave with the baby. So you having a village and bringing that sense of community from your Caribbean background and from Janice's Caribbean background definitely help you guys on a high level. And we probably could tell other athletes that's how you want to navigate once you start to have a family. You know what I mean? We know women got it. It might be a little bit harder for a female athlete because she actually carries.
Yeah.
But on the men's side, we would want to speak to that notion. So that's good information that you can give.
We came up with a deal. So if I had to travel and go around the world, she's like, all right, do this. You're going to go travel around the world, do all these things, because that's what she loves. She don't care about bags. She don't care about shoes. Her thing is travel.
Yeah.
She want to see the world. She's like, all right, you go travel around the world, but at the end, when your season's done, me and you are going to go travel the world somewhere. We're going to go on a trip. So I had to make sure that at the end of every season, I made a trip somewhere that she wanted to do so we can write it off our bucket list.
And that's important. I actually tell like younger athletes, like it's all fun being pro, because they ask, how does it feel to go to all these different countries and compete? I say it's nice, but at the same time, you don't really get to see the country for what it is. And like maybe if you come in a few days before, you could maybe take one day, the day maybe a shakeout and go and see something, but it still isn't like a full experience. And I think that is maybe the double-edged sword of being a professional athlete. We go to really nice places, but we don't really get to experience it because the job is to run well. And if you focus on running well, you're not going to be walking up and down a country just to see where it is because you didn't come there for that.
Yeah.
You know, so I really like that, you know, you focus on visiting countries after. I actually went to Paris before because I didn't get to see Paris before. You know, so I feel like it's good to, you know, after traveling so long, go to countries and be able to experience it and not having to compete.
Yeah. That's what I hate it, but I love it.
Yeah.
In a week span, an average elite athlete can be in China, then they can be in Italy, and then they can be in Austria. You know what I mean? You be around the world, literally.
Yeah.
But the things that you miss out on, like I'll give you an example. In 2015, getting ready for the World Championships, my family got to see the Great Wall of China. To this day, I've still never seen the Great Wall of China.
Crazy.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you don't get to have those experiences like everyone else does.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like now you got to go back and be like, all right, I'm here as a tourist.
On your own expense.
On your own expense.
On your own
exactly.
expense.
Oh man, that's definitely great. What would you say you would want your legacy to be in this sport when it's all said and done,
Mhm.
and your legacy to your country? What would you want to be for Trinidad, and then the legacy in the sport? Because you are at top level in the sport.
Because you did give a shout out to Otto in your last race. I saw that.
I saw that. Yeah.
See, I'm coming.
My legacy in the sport, I would like to be known as a versatile athlete, an athlete that is, great in almost any event that he's been put into. But I think most importantly, and it's very much needed now, is someone that motivates the younger generation of Trinidad and Tobago athletes to not just give up on their dreams, to work towards it, to find a way to achieve it. I think a lot of times people work towards their dreams but don't have the patience to get there, and they have one plan and that plan doesn't work and they give up because I tried this way and it didn't work. I want to be that person to show them that because it didn't work this way doesn't mean it wouldn't work at all. And even if it doesn't work, at least you could still be thankful for the progress that you've made over the years in, whatever it may be. Because for me, I wanted to go pro as a junior athlete, wasn't able to, so I had to go to college. I wanted to go to D1, couldn't go, so I had to go to junior college. And I never gave up on my goals, but the path that I saw myself going to, it always had twists and turns to it. But I never gave up and I was able to achieve. When I look back if I look back some years back, I've always seen myself in this position, but I didn't get here the way I expected to. So I just want to be that person that kids could look up to and say, well, he was from this small community. He was able to do it. I could do it too. I don't want nobody to ever feel like they're not capable of achieving something. Or as I say, even if you're not able to achieve it, where you started and where you end is two different places. And I think that is what really it's really important to be able to have some level of progress in your life.
Amen to that, man. I mean, you know what? We appreciate you coming on the show. We appreciate having you here. One thing I love about doing this is because we watched you, perfect example of you. We watched you for years run, compete, but we never knew who the man was.
Yeah.
And today we was able to see who the man was, and the audience are going to see the same thing, man. So we appreciate having you on the show, man. And,
Thank you.
Good luck to you rest of the season. I know you got a meet coming up already. The street games coming up soon.
Yeah.
So everyone stay tuned.
Oh, great. He still got the world relays. He still ain't ran.
Oh, yeah, we here. We have something we here. Hold on.
So he's still in the while. You still got to get that job done today on this road to Paris, man. If you'd like to say anything to any of your fans, that's your camera. You could go ahead.
All right. One thing I would like to touch on quickly. All right. This is for the Trinidad and Tobago supporters and fans. I think this being an important year, the Olympic year, most importantly, we need your support. Track and field is one of the most hardly and harshly judged sports in Trinidad and Tobago. And I think it's not a good thing that we get judged so hard by the general public. And we don't have that support locally. When we come home to run for the trials, we don't have that level of support to where we get judged. I think that if you are a true diehard Trinidad and Tobago fan, support us regardless if we win medals or if we don't win medals. Because at the end of the day, we are the best that our country has to put out there to represent. So be a diehard supporter. Support us in the good times and the bad times, but genuinely support us. And that's all I ask for. Thank you.
Hey.
For the next time on our episode of Ready, Set, Go.
Boom.
Got it?
Yeah, it was.
What you think, Eric?
I like that cool, man.
Huh?
Where you want to get them?